What's up guys, welcome back to another episode, and today's video we're going to be going over more tips and tricks for football coaches based on my personal experiences. Now, if you guys know, I've coached football since 2015, which may not be that old, but like I've talked about before, I was in a very unique situation when it comes to working with kids with developmental needs, working with a bunch of different grades all at once, and being able to cater what you're doing exactly to those specific kids. So although I haven't coached for a really long time, I feel like I have a ton of experience I can offer. Now, before we start this video, go ahead and subscribe as we put out 2 videos like this every single week. We are trying our hardest to create as much football related content for you as possible. So the first thing I would like to talk about is every team that you coach is different. So for example, I've coached on 2 different teams at this point. I coached on one team for 5 years and the other for 2. Now when I'm saying every team is different, we had a really big adjustment period our first year moving to coach this different team. And the reason being is on this first team that I coached, the kids were very, very smart kids, right? So you didn't spend a ton of time on the plays, you just gave them the playbook, they pretty much understood it, and then you spent a lot of your time on their athleticism, teaching them how to use their body in different situations and going through the technique and the skills they need to learn. But it was a 180 on the other team. On this other team, the kids were athletes, right? You didn't need to spend a lot of time on that. The kids knew how to fly around and go around, but you had to spend all of your time and effort on the playbook. So it's 2 completely different things. Whenever you go to a new team, you just need to have an open mind and assess what these kids actually need. Number 2 is going to be always start with the basics. Now, what I'm going to say might sound a little strange, but every single year I start back with footwork. It does not matter the age. I go through how to go into a 3-point stance, what are the basic steps, what is pass blocking versus run blocking, go through everything basic that you could think that might be too dumb, go through it. Now there's a couple of reasons. One is there's kids that might not have ever played football before that are just too shy to speak up and say that they don't know these things. Number 2 is you could have kids that played football before and you don't really know what they were taught by these other coaches. Even if the coaches have taught them about footwork and stance and stuff, you don't know if you like it taught in a different way. So go through it at the beginning and make sure everyone's on the same page with the basics and the fundamentals. Number 3 is going to be just like a team, every kid is different. You have to start to recognize and understand that each kid learns in a very specific way, and you have to start to cater your way of coaching towards those kids to make sure they get the maximum benefit. Look at every kid, assess, it'll probably take a month. You'll start to learn what works and doesn't work with those kids. The number 4 thing I want to talk about is you need to enjoy the coaches you work with. Now, I've never been paid to coach, right? We were volunteer coaches, and doing something volunteer is very tough when you just don't like the people you're surrounded by. It's even tough enough at work if you don't like your coworkers and you're paid to be there, right? So you need to make sure that you love the coaches you're coaching with. That way, if you have a really, really good season, you're tremendously happy with it, then it's great to be around those guys. But if you have a bad season where it's just not going your way, you still enjoy the company you have with you. So make sure you enjoy the coaches that you're around hours every day. All right, now the next one is going to be about inviting in new coaches to your circle. It can be very tough if you've had a very close-knit group of coaches for a really long time to invite new people to be a part of that. But the reality is, if you weren't winning a lot before, right, and they're bringing in new people, they have fresh perspectives. It's really important you come with an open mind to these situations and invite them in and see what kind of wealth of knowledge they have that you don't currently have. Okay, now the next one is going to be that although you might be an O-line coach, although you might be a receiver coach, quarterbacks coach, DBs, whatever it is, you need to make sure you understand the entire game. And you need at least a baseline level of knowledge for each position. Now, I know it doesn't come up a lot, right, that the O-line coach is gonna have to fill in for the safeties coach, right, in like a game situation. But there will always be a kid that comes up to you in practice and says, what do I do on this play? It could be a kid that you've literally never talked to before, you've never coached, you've never done anything with, completely different position. But sometimes players just find a coach and ask him what to do, right? And although you might not be the exact right guy he should be asking, at least have a base of knowledge to try and help guide him through it a bit, and then try and get the coach, if they're not busy, to help get him the correct information. Going back to that one is you need to try and get familiar with all the kids on the team. It's about building that team camaraderie and that team atmosphere, right? You don't want the linemen all sticking together and the DBs all sticking together. You want everyone to co-mingle and be a part of a team. That goes for the coaches too. You can't expect the players to work together and be friends if you're not going to be friends with people outside your position. Get to know some of the DBs, right? Whether you do that through special teams or players that play both ways, right? Find ways to get to know kids on multiple positions throughout the field and start to create a team atmosphere for them. There you guys go. There are 7 more tips from my experience as a coach. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Again, subscribe as we put out 2 videos every single week. Thanks for watching, guys.